Listening to Our Daily Show with CJ Nasello on RiverBender.com. Welcome back, 10:37 on this 28th day of November. And if you hear all that banging, I don't know what they're working on back there, but we're going to keep going. Pastor Alan Abert, how are we doing today, sir?
We're good, thank you. Good to be here.
Well, you know, this is really cool. Coming up on Sunday, December the 3rd, from 1:30 p.m. until 3:30 p.m., it is an open house, and you are invited at Alton, Grace United Methodist Church, 702 Henry Street, right across
from Duke's Bakery, just to the south of Duke's Bakery, about a block. So it's within walking distance, and so as you look at my stomach, that's obviously not too bad.
Well, this is really cool. So take me through this event. What can we expect just right off the bat?
Well, right off the bat, you can expect a really warm greeting from the church. But this event has been one that has emerged post-COVID, as we slowly get back into a sense of community. We had, for many years, been hosting a two-day rummage sale, and so that's what the community basically knew the church for, and then after COVID, we said no more of that. So the folks came together, and so what this is, obviously you see in the brochure, you see Mr. and Mrs. Santa, so they'll be there, as well as we are building out, what's really coming into play here is a unique display of nativity sets. Oh. And some of them have a lot of historic value in relation to the church itself, to one of our previous pastors. And if we take a certain delivery tomorrow that I expect, we'll even have some which will be featuring has some international flavor to it. So that display will be set up, as well as having music. And we're going to have somewhere between 7 and 10 local crafters who are there displaying their stuff.
Yeah.
So we're just trying to get a little bit of everything out there in a nice, friendly, safe, family-friendly environment for people to come visit us. This church has been a big part of the Alton community since 1852. Wow. And in our current location since 1880. And so what we had determined is that over the years, I don't know how much you know about Henry Street, but at one point in time, there were a lot of churches there, probably 5 or 6 major churches. That would be Church Row back in the day, right? Wow. We and St. Mary's are the only 2 who are actively still there on Henry Street, functioning as a church. So because the evangelical church did move to Godfrey, so I don't want to be accused of saying they went out of business.
Yeah, right.
So we're one of 2. We sit at 7th and Henry. Our building was built in 1880. It's one of the Pfeifenberger architectural designs that stands out in Alton. And the group has always been kind of the hands and feet of Jesus, always willing to be of help, when they can. So this event is really designed to invite the community in, to say, hello, here we are. I do know that in my time with this church, it's been 6.5 years, but the first day I walked in, you got a sense that there was being welcomed and friendly. Yeah. And a lot of churches today will give a lot of lip service to that, and they work really hard at getting there. But this church is there, and so we're excited about just having the opportunity to show the building and the people off. Well,
and that's a huge point too, because whether or not it's historic, Elsa built the church in Elsa, it's the church in Hartford. The church in Alton is just beautiful. It is, because I go to St. Mary's, but I love the Alton Church. I think it is such a beautiful building, and there would be no other way to start the holiday season, the Christmas season, than over there.
Well, we appreciate that, and we just completed a 2-year outside renovation project of the building. Wow. In fact, one of the ladies who visited us about a year ago walked in. She goes, I didn't know that if you were open or not, but when I saw the 30-foot high lift out there working on the bell tower, we got a pretty good idea that something might be going on here. So, this was a great story. The building, typically old buildings, congregations are aging, money's tight, and so we were blessed that in about 60 days, 2 years ago, we raised about $65,000. It was wow. This is an amazing story. And so all of the outside work in terms of getting the building restored to the architectural, even even the guttering had to be replaced in that just to make it look better.
Now, is it a part of the preservation, historical preservation?
We've never been defined as that.
Okay.
We are sitting in part of historic Middletown.
Mm-hmm.
We have been part of the Alton historical tours over the years, but I can't answer the question if we really are defined. I know from an architectural or working on the building, we are not defined by the state, like the Elsa Church. Mm-hmm. So we didn't have to come into any of the conformity of doing all that kind of stuff. So.
Well, and to me, I just think this is a really cool way to open your doors, especially, you know, because we all know how crazy Christmas can get with this influx of in-laws coming in, families coming in. Maybe we're.
Do you have a problem with your in-laws?
I would have if I got married.
If you want to do online counseling here this morning, we can take care of that, right?
If I would have gotten married, yeah. But I'm good on that. But what I think is really cool is that you're doing this on the first Sunday of the month.
Yeah.
It sets the tone for a really welcoming and warm Christmas.
Yeah, because everybody's not exhausted yet.
Yeah, that's true.
You know, and part of it, in the church we define this as the season of Advent, so a season of expectation, and this is the first Sunday coming up, so it all kind of tied together really, really well. And the church inside of the church is really decorated beautifully, so it's worth coming in just to take a look.
How many nativities are going to be at the church?
I think I counted about 15 or 16. Again, it's not the quantity, but the quality of what we have. We could have as many as 25, and again, for a first year and a small event, it's really kind of a neat thing, just something
just cool.
different.
Yeah.
And there's refreshments, and I'm sure they'll have something nice for the kids from Mr. and Mrs. Santa. So.
Well, and too, I always think that a nativity scene is my favorite part of a Christmas decoration. And you guys will see everything coming back to the studio in a week. But when I go drive out in the neighborhoods, and I really see some beautiful nativity scenes that were built by hand. I know my dad made one of his own, and to me, that's just what it's all about.
One of my favorite nativity stories, if we got a minute.
Yeah, we got plenty of time.
I have a grandson who today is 9 years old, but a few years ago, my wife had purchased him a nativity set, and so he kind of laid it all out, and he called this nativity scene a baby Jesus parade, and he identified each of the characters in the nativity based on how he was seeing it. It's Christmas through the eyes of a child, so I don't have it with me today, nor do I have a memory that allows me to go back and define it. But again, and one of the interesting things with these nativity sets is that there is a story behind each one, and hopefully we've captured those stories enough to be able to say, that one's 100 years old, and that one was part of the church. And there's one that I really love because I'm not allowed as a pastor to have any favorites of anything.
Right.
I'm like Switzerland; everything's right in the middle, right? But there's one that I love that one of our members at Hartford had made for the previous pastor, and it's nativity sets is all made out of handmade out of gourds. And it is absolutely gorgeous.
Wow.
It's something you won't see this in many places at all. So,
whenever you're inside the Alton Grace Church and you're doing a service or you're getting ready, what's that feeling like? Because there is a lot of history in that building, and so many great pastors before you, and just kept the church alive. And now it's on you're the pastor.
Now I get to carry it on.
Yeah. Now you're throwing it on your shoulder and you're walking. What's it like to be in there? Because that's got to feel special, too.
I think a couple things. One, as I said, when we first came, my wife and I first were appointed here, we walked in 2 days prior to the first Sunday, and she looked at me and quoting from the Bible, she said, "Be still." Well, in my household, if my wife tells me to be still, I should listen, right? But she said, "Be still and know that I am God." What you get in this building with the history of it, you get a sense that God still exists here.
Yeah.
And that folks who come in, visitors who come in, will tell us that they're welcome. We basically welcome everybody who comes through our doors. And the big difference, I think, is that it's from the first time you walk in. You don't have to worry about coming over weeks and months and trying to establish a relationship. And am I sitting in the right pew? And am I going to make anybody unhappy?
Yes.
Yeah, right.
100%.
None of that goes on here. So to do a service there we have traditional preaching, traditional gospel preaching. We have sing traditional hymns, which is a big thing for the folks, and the fact that you are basically loved. And through all the expressions, what's interesting here is that through all the expressions that the Methodist Church has had in Alton since 1880, that we still keep the main focus, and that's on our relationship with Jesus Christ and with each other. So when you ask, it's always a special feeling.
Bet.
Yeah. And when we have these special opportunities, this past summer, we have a relationship. My neighbor is the director of a group called Ignite, which is based out of Godfrey
Absolutely,
First,
yeah.
right? And so we have had them in for the last 4 or 5 years. They're kind of like our house band. And so when they came in, we decided we would try something. We moved these kids from each of the 3 churches, because it has, again, LC United Methodist Church, Hartford, we meet every Sunday, so it's the racetrack, right?
Oh, I bet.
And I don't want to alert the Jersey County Sheriff, but I've been blessed for the last 6.5 years to be able to get from Elsa to Alton to Hartford without anybody stopping me along the way. So that's a God thing, right?
That's right.
But in having these when you have the building full and you have these large worship services, as those kids did that Sunday, when you have 150 people in there, it does. You just have that. It's that quaintness. We're a small congregation. Maybe we have 20 on Sunday, sometimes 30 during the high days, sometimes 40. But the reality is that we don't measure our ministry based on the numbers. We just don't. Ministry is how are people being cared for.
Yeah.
This past year, we started a relationship with the Crisis Food Center, and that thing has blossomed into a huge. And when we find out that the Crisis Food Center's need has it's doubled in less than 6 months. It's a great partnership to be with.
Well, exactly right. And if you don't mind me asking, how did you were you acquainted with Alton before you became the pastor?
Yeah, well, my wife and I have been a long-time resident of Alton.
Okay.
My kids went to school, in the Alton school system. I have been an advocate, a community organizer with the Alton band program many years ago, right? And so, being a local resident, my first appointment, though, was not here. My first appointment was down in Waterloo, Illinois, where I spent 3 years. And when this particular charge became available, they said, "Are you interested?" And I said, "Absolutely." So having that hometown sense, it's to know and to be able to study and to know what that real ministry is, and to be able to really go back and pull boxes out and open up, and we start to find meeting minutes from church meetings in the early 1900s. That were all written in German, because until 1925, right, all the services were actually in German there. Right? And so to take your cell phone and say translate to try to get the sense of what those congregations were doing there. And you know what? I mean, times have changed, and electronics have changed, and communication has changed, but the work is still
absolutely
still the same,
100%.
right? And we're just fortunate that we still are able to maintain the connection with some of our longer term members to be able to keep that sense going. So
absolutely, well, 100%.
So it's a good place to be,
and especially up there around Christmas, when on Christmas Eve the luminaries are out, and then you're seeing the church all lit. I mean, it's just beautiful.
Well, and our church, used to sit in that corner dark, and we have a very aggressive trustees named Jake, and so Jake actually went into the building and converted all the lighting from the old-fashioned lighting into new LED stuff.
Oh, wow!
And then he figured out through lighting panels how to be able to leave the church lit 24 hours a day. So when you come at night, the church is lit. You can actually see through the original stained glass windows. So as you said, it can be a great sight to see. It's also a great place to park during the July 4th fireworks.
That is a great point, too. See, these are insider Alton information you're getting.
Now, having said that, if we have an influx next year, we'll probably have to charge for parking, but we'll give free refreshments as a way to balance it out, right?
Hey, a yin and a yang,
I never would have thought about that had I not been working with RiverBender.com. So,
that's right. It all comes full circle, and you can add that to the list of blaming.
Ashley, are you listening? Yeah.
Well, speaking of that, when Ashley sent me this note about the open house with Santa and Mrs. Claus, which is coming up down the pipeline this Sunday, December the 3rd, from 1:30 to 3:30 p.m. at Alton, Grace United Methodist Church, I was excited because this is something really cool. I'm a big Christmas guy, but so many times there's not a lot of family-focused events. It's a lot of things for adults, which is great. We need those, and a lot of things that are just for kids. But for this to be really for the family to come out and really be involved is a really unique thing.
Yeah, we think so. And the community around us is a little bit transitional. So to be able to reach out to folks that we normally aren't acquainted with, and for them to be able to bring their children in and just to say hello. There's nothing more. You can come in, you can spend as much time as you want, or you can pass through and say that you were there, right?
Yeah. Right.
So it's our way of saying we're here. We're open, and yes, we're doing business, and we hope to see. This is not as an advertising campaign to bring people into the pews, but we hope to see as people come and visit us, maybe they'll hang around a little while too. So
absolutely,
part of the program.
I like that a lot. Where you aren't forcing it; it's just an organic thing. Where if this is something for you, we love you.
I honestly tell you is that the folks who have joined our church since my tenure began. They were never pressured to join. In fact, one lady said, I've been here for 5 years. When do I get to join? I said, well, you join this Sunday. It's that simple, right? So again, it's not about church growth. It's not about putting tons of people in the pews. We're in a world today where as you probably have read, churches have been declining.
100%.
And you can get caught up in that, or you can say, we're at 7th and Henry Street in Alton, Illinois. How can we continue to be a sphere of influence in our community? And that's really what it's truly all about.
100% over. And I've said that time and time again for everything. I've said it here at RiverBender to folks that reach out to us. It's like, hey, I don't ever go and scour the world for you. If you know where we are, if you want us to help you, I'm ready to help.
Sure.
But, I'm right there with you. Make it organic, where you can actually just, as God's will, someone comes in and gets connected to the church and it keeps growing. And that way, you truly have the care of your parishioners in mind. You have all of that really accounted for.
Well, all are welcome, but in my mind, by the color of my hair, you can tell that I'm not the young, charismatic preacher with 6 kids to build my own youth group with, right? But what I do have a sense is that in our community, there are people like us, our group, who are not connected, who are lonely, who are divorced, who are widowed. And so what we're saying is that we're here, and just come and sit, come and have coffee on Sunday morning, but just come.
Absolutely.
And so that's why our doors are always open.
Absolutely. And the doors will be open for you again this Sunday, December the 3rd, from 1:30 p.m. until 3:30 p.m. at Grace United Methodist Church, located at 702 Henry Street, right across from good old Duke Bakery, where you can come in, see Pastor Alan, and enjoy some free refreshments, photos with Santa and Mrs. Claus, holiday music, the nativities, and so much more. To learn more about Alton Grace United Methodist Church, you can visit elsaumc.org. That is elsaumc.org. And Pastor Alan, thank you so much for stopping by today.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Really,
good to be here.
I did too. At 10:55, we'll take our final break. We'll come back. We'll wrap up the Tuesday morning that was right after this in the heart of the 618.